Okay, so we're going to take a look at looking at conditionals and recursion. Let's go ahead and make a um, new class in our tutorials folder. So right click here, go to new class. I'm just going to call this one recursion. Okay, so go ahead and copy out our main program. Forgot to turn that on, so there we go. Let's delete everything on the inside. Okay. So let's create a variable called quotient. We'll make it equal to 7 divided by 3. And let's just do a syst line. And you'll notice if we print quotient here, see we get 2. Now if we want the remainder of that, go ahead and copy that. I'm going to make a new variable called remainder. And what we use is the modulus operator for that. I'm going to print out remainder here. You can see we get 1. That's the remainder of it, of 7 divided by 3. Alright, so let's take another look at how to use the modulus operator. Oftentimes you're going to want to know if a number is even or odd, depending on your program. So you can use the modulus operator for that. So let's say if, and let's create our own, a new method here. And we'll call this, we'll do public static void is even. And we're doing void because we don't want it to return a value. Right? And we're going to have this accept an integer called I. Okay? And inside of here we can say if, and we're going to encapsulate this data, that's why we're wrapping it in its own function. If x modulus 2 is the same as 0, so what we're saying is whatever x divided by 2 is the same as 0, we're just going to print x is even. Then we'll just do an else here. And I'll copy this and I'll do x is odd. Alright, and let's do x here. Alright, so let's try this. I'm going to call is even here, and I'm going to pass 5. Alright, so let's go ahead and hit F11. Then we get x is odd. Let's enter 6. Then we get x is even, because 2 divided by 6 divides evenly at 3. Alright, so let's take a look at return statements. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete this here. And what we're going to do is, actually we'll keep that, and we'll just change the value here to even. Or we'll do a quick program that prints logarithms. And we'll pass a double into this variable. And what we're going to say is, let's grab this guy here and drop him in our main method. And let's do -1. And what we want to use is a return statement to check if our program is only accepting positive values. So I can say if, and let's wrap this, and inside this if statement, we're going to go ahead and drop a return in there with a semicolon. And so what we do is we say if x is less than or equal to 0.0, we'll prompt the user to system.out.print line, please only enter positive values, positive numbers. And then what we'll do next is we'll place just a standard condition in there. We won't even put out another if or else if. We're just going to write double, and we can do answer equals, and then there's a math function .log. You can find the log of value x. And then we can just print out log of x is, and then we'll do answer here. So let's test this. If I hit F11, it says please enter only positive numbers. And let's see what the log of 8 is. You can see 2.07. Alright, so let's take a look at recursion, which is the actual kind of point of this tutorial. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these guys. So let's create a very simple recursive program that does a countdown. Okay? And so again, we're going to go with calling another method, so we practice that as well. So I'm just going to do public static void countdown. And we're going to make an integer, and we're going to call it n. And we're going to call countdown from here. And say we want this program to count down from 10, passing an integer value in there. So as long as n is not equal to 0, so we have some sort of base condition, okay? And our base condition is just sort of checking if n is equal to 0, okay? If it is, we're just going to print out blast off. Because it takes 0 seconds for our ship to blast off. Else, we're going to do a countdown. So I'm going to do system.out.print. We'll do line here, n, and then I'm going to decrement countdown. So this is where the real recursion happens, because what recursion does is you're calling the exact same function. So I'm going to say n minus 1. Okay, so we're going to decrement n from 10 down to 1. So we're going to constantly subtract n by constantly counting it until we reach 0. So let's test this and see if it works. We get a couple errors, which is semicolon here. So let's go ahead and F11. And you can see we get 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And once we hit 0, we get blast off.